And you also know that the last known person is kind of left here. Who is this person, right? What is their last known location? All of this becomes immediate. And what happens is in these kind of accident kind of situations, if you spend um, 15-20 minutes trying to find where the person is located instead of rescuing them, this could create a difference between a positive outcome and a negative outcome, right? And the negative outcome could be loss of life. So you know exactly where the missing people are, right? In case of this one, and this is a screenshot from the real product, right? And all these location data is updated like very, very frequently, right? So for one of our customers, one of our first customers, actually, a large FMCG company, we have reduced the emergency drill time from 17 minutes to 2 minutes. So now it takes 2 minutes for people to come out, right? The moment they come out, everyone gets counted. There is no more, asking ye kidhar gaya, wo kidhar gaya, and all of this stuff, right? Acha, wo mil gaya, okay, uska naam cut nahi kiya. All of this stuff gets eliminated, right? That's a very, very small application of what we can do, right? Very small subset of what we can do. Another thing is, by enabling IoT and this connected worker kind of a solution, what we are able to do is a number of things, right? Like an emergency trigger can get pressed. There can be fall detection, right? There's a very short video on this emergency trigger, right? So there is a fall, you press a trigger, the signal goes to a gateway from the ID card, and we know that, somebody has triggered this emergency at so and so time, right? And then you can send the alert using SMS, you can send the alert using email, or even a push notification on the mobile app, right? All options are available and open. So depending on the severity of the alert, we can actually make sure that the right set of people get notified that, something has gone wrong in a facility. So all these options are available. These are just, two examples just to show how safety can be improved by using digitization, right? Let's talk a little bit more about behavior-based safety, right? Behavior-based safety, we just touched in brief. The main focus in behavior-based safety is, prevention. We should tune everyone's behavior so that accidents are prevented, right? And it improves employee safety, eliminates hazards, prevents injuries, reduces accidents, right? And how do we help with this, right? The rule engine that is built on Syook has zero customization, right? Zero customization means every facility can put any kind of rule that they want on the platform. And then once these rules are followed, and once people get to know, there can be proactive intervention as and when a non-compliance event is happening. Because everyone today tries to say, if you are going to this area, sign this register, right? Only when something goes wrong do people actually look at the register and say, who all have signed this. So with the system like Syook, what happens is all of this happens in real time, right? So these are, some examples of rules, alerts, all of this stuff, right? In a manufacturing area. So essentially what we bring about is a safety component, right? Which is the main value addition. Reduce response time for emergencies, emergency response and mustering. We are able to locate people during an emergency, and manage logistics, right? Manage where emergency response team needs to go, manage the movement of trucks. Everything can be managed using the Syook platform, right? So there are a number of I would say roles, right? That happen in a facility, right? If you look at emergency management, you always know about who is handling the high risk tasks. You are able to locate anybody on a map, report violations immediately. Hey, welder is working without a fire watch, right? Usually welders never work alone because there is a high probability that something could go wrong, right? This gets reported immediately, and the safety officer or somebody can check, hey, what happened? Why is the welder working alone, right? And of course, we spoke about automatic head count, emergency mustering, all of these things, right? And during normal operations, right, when there is no emergency, if you would like to locate someone for some particular reason, right, I need to have 20 contractors working in the loading unloading area, right? You can just go to the loading unloading area, click on the map. It's kind of like a video game, right, as I said, and you can see whether there are 20 people present there or not, right? um, if you look at contract worker management, right? Contractors are supposed to spend a certain amount of time in a certain area, right? All functionalities related to HR, etc., can be managed on a single system. We can also know, how much overtime each contract worker is charging, and manage, security guards, visitors, contractors, everything on a single platform, right? And a single platform that does not require any kind of customization or effort. So that is kind of like our USP. The same can be extrapolated to high value assets. High value assets could include, things like high value medical equipment, like portable X-ray machines, ventilators, oxygen concentrators, or it could be, expensive oil field equipment like, drill collars, bits, and so on, that can be tracked across the supply chain. And when you would like to do an audit, all you need to go and quickly check when was the last ping time, and that asset is physically available, right? So truck in truck out is one of the application we've introduced with a large auto major, right, where the internal plant logistics gets super optimized, because every time a truck comes in, the driver gets a tag, right, through which their location gets tracked. Then what happens is, every time the driver is getting tracked, the driver knows that they should not while away time in the parking lot and so on, right? They just go do their job and come out. What happens is, detention charges reduce greatly for the customer here, right? The truck detention charges, because they ensure that truck turnarounds are very quick and very efficient. So these are kind of some of the productivity related applications, right? But again, this real-time compliance monitoring is something that is all about safety, right? Define authorized areas for different workers. Make sure time and location is stored for future audit reports. In case something goes wrong, we have a replay function, where you can just see where people were, in case some training or some encouragement to do the right thing is required, right? And you have real-time alerts, right, which we spoke about. Like, for example, somebody is detected in a prohibited area. Moment somebody is detected in a prohibited area, someone gets to know, right, why are these people in this unauthorized area. So all these compliances get monitored in a very proactive kind of a manner, right? So that's all I had. It was a very, I hope it was very crisp and brief introduction about what we do. We are also very proud that we are funded by ONGC. We are one of the startups that are a part of their startup cohort, and of course, with our background in the oil and gas sector, we are making a lot of inroads into oil and gas, mining, and manufacturing, where safety is paramount. All right, so I'll happy to take any questions and have a discussion. Thank you so much. Right, look forward to interacting with you all.
Thanks, Arjun. I think that was very precise in terms of what I know, giving the importance of the kind of modules which you have and the kind of in-depth experience you have, which actually builds up end-to-end case, for any customer who would like to adopt. So, I mean, if you may want to just share any kind of, a case study, or somewhere where we may have deployed. If you may want to just give that, how much time did it take, and any other critical information as to business value, both tangible and intangible, as well as on the compliance side, what the customer derived. Maybe it may be useful.
Sure, thank you. Where we have deployed, we have deployed with again some of the largest customers, right? We started with Unilever, which was our flagship customer, and then went on to Fiat. Now our customers include Tata Group and ONGC and a few other companies, right? Um, so one of the deployments, right, was for a very large number of assets, right, about 4,500 assets, and it required a lot of engineering effort on our part to make sure that system doesn't collapse under the amount of data that is being generated. So
Correct.
it was a very challenging time for us when we had to kind of re-engineer a lot of things which we thought were sorted, and we never need to look at again, and then we had to kind of re-engineer them to handle that kind of scale, right? There is a I mean, our typical deployment cycle takes maybe about a week to 10 days, because everything is configurable, right? There is no customization. There is nothing saying that you build this and come back, right? So you just physically deploy the hardware. That takes some time, right? Because in not all the times the infrastructure might be ready, so they might need to drill some points for power and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
That takes some time. What takes time is kind of training everyone, making sure that it becomes a part of their daily routine using this kind of a system. So that takes time. We have a lot of help. We have a bunch of training videos that we are able to use,
Mhm.
and move forward with, to be able to kind of uh, get people started on using the system, right?
Absolutely. I think, makes sense. I know from our conversations as to how you are sorted in terms of, not only India, but other Middle East and other geographies also, in terms of you being able to work very closely with your partners so that, all the other cultural aspects and deployment aspects are well sorted and taken care. So I think, yeah, that's the right approach, I would say, to proliferate into various markets and industries. So uh, that's the right model, I personally feel, and that's where I think we are having right conversations, as you know, right? Uh, and from the audience, I think would love now if you may have any questions, you can unmute yourself, or you may want to ask a question in the chat window. We will then read it out to Arjun, or Arjun, we can also have a look at.
Sure.
Yes. So Arjun, while someone maybe comes up with a question, I was just wondering, what do you see as the kind of maybe not apprehensions, but generally, customers coming out with their queries, in terms of price points around their preparation, or even the IoT or the sensors which they may want to deploy or they will have to deploy. You know, uh, is there any conversations which where people have any reservations, or you feel that now the industry is fairly sorted in terms of the price points and how the ROI can be seen through the deployment of such a solution?
Sure. Actually, this is a very interesting question, and thank you for asking this. Right. So there have been a lot of reservations in the past. Right. We don't want to track our people. This is an invasion of privacy. Why should we track people? Right. Then what happens is, here what we are doing is tracking people only in the workplace during work hours. Right. We are not putting uh, an app on the phone which you don't know when it is tracking your location. So here what happens is the physics of the technology itself is like the range itself is like 30 meters, right? So 30 meters outside your workplace, there is no option of getting tracked. There is no way you could get tracked, right? So this used to be one of the apprehensions, right? I mean, I don't want to track my people. What about privacy and so on? Then COVID happened.
Correct.
Right? Now our biggest advantage is because we know where people are at all time, we are able to do contact tracing. How we do contact tracing? Let us say someone has COVID, right? Unfortunately, and has been working for the last 3 days. Because you know location of everyone over the last 3 days, you are able to kind of generate a report saying, hey, this person came into contact with all these people for so much time, and these are the people at high risk, and these people came in contact with the next set of people. So you are able to do like 2 levels of contact tracing, so that you at least know whom to prioritize for testing.
Absolutely, I think, and in terms of not only it, the whole question is now going from personal privacy to personal safety.
Yes.
I mean, that's how it is transforming the reservation to actually an opportunity for even not only the organization but also to that individual, right? I think absolutely.
Yes. So
Thanks,
those are some changes that are happening. See, the another set of changes is, you know, there always has been the oil and gas mining industry where safety is always more important than privacy, right? Um, for example, in the oil and gas industry, you know, night 2 o'clock, if there is a fire drill, everyone has to go and participate in the fire drill, right? Because that time safety is more important than even sleep, right? Um, so those cases, what happens is there is an automatic use case, right? But now again, it is becoming more and more prevalent that safety is paramount, and you know, cost of incident is now very, very high. I think you're on mute. Not able to hear you.
Yeah, sorry, there was an ambient noise, so I had just muted myself. Really, thanks. Arjun, that really clearly tells us to the pressing need in today's times for such a solution. And if you may want to just throw a little light on, on the healthcare and logistics areas as well, right? Obviously, not to say that remote places of projects, right? And whether it is to do with large infrastructure projects or mining areas, all these sectors, whichever you may want to actually, talk about a little bit more, as to in the healthcare side, what are the typical areas you see, applications, as well
Sure.
as in the logistics side, yeah.
Sure. And also there is a question on the chat window from Ambili Nambiar. How is positioning against competitors? If you don't mind, I'll take that first, right?
Oh, please. Yeah, already we have a question from Ambili.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Ambili.
thanks.
So our unique proposition and what we bring to the table is no customization, right? Our platform is no code. So no code as in be it a deployment in India for certain company X, or be it in the Middle East for a certain company Y. It takes us probably 20 minutes to deploy our product, right? Or maybe 15 minutes now. That's it. And then what happens is we start helping the user configure right from day one. In fact, our standard POC lasts about 12 hours, because we are able to, in 12 hours, we are able to show value, right? Okay, this is what you can do in 12 hours. Now you extrapolate it for 1 month, saying, you know, what is it that you can do? So what happens is when you take customization out of the equation, it becomes very easily implementable as a solution. But taking customization out of operations is very tough, because in every factory, operations are very different, right? I mean, you take a factory of same company operating in different states, so they sometimes have different rules, different compliances, right? Especially compared to local laws and all of this. So building a no-code platform for operations is very tough, and that is something that we managed to do. And we still call our product is still at version 4 and kind of improving, right, every time. So that's where we are.
Thanks. Ambili, in case you have any specific further clarification you have, you may unmute yourself and ask.
Right. Thank you.
Okay,
So let me touch a little bit upon the healthcare part that you were talking about, right? So healthcare, there are two use cases. One is, of course, you can track all the people inside a healthcare facility like a hospital and make sure that people are there in their assigned areas, and so that there isn't much of chaos in a hospital, right? That is one aspect of it. Another aspect is tracking the high-end medical equipment, making sure that not a lot of time is wasted on searching for equipment. Instead, just go to a screen and just check where that equipment is and go and find it, right? So that is one of the applications in healthcare. In logistics, of course, we spoke a little bit about this truck in truck out solution. So that is also something that is um, that is providing a lot of value, not only in terms of cost saved, but one of our customers told us that also has a huge green impact, right? Because of the amount of diesel that we are saving. Because
correct.
the large truck waiting for 40 minutes, each large truck will be at least 3 or 4 liters of diesel, right? And you multiply that by 800 trucks in a day. That's the amount of fuel that gets saved in a single location, right? So also has an impact on the environment.
Absolutely. Thanks. So if we don't have any further questions, I guess we seem to be sorted really. Thanks a lot, Arjun. If there's any other last message for anyone who, they want to reach out to you or to Incubate Hub, we will post our email ID over here. You could possibly,
Wait, actually, there is one more question.
Yeah, please, Prithvi.
Please go ahead.
Just posting it on the chat. It says it is from Fireflies. One query: while this application is positioned for safety as the main criteria, however, it seems that a lot of other functionalities are embedded in it. So, how do you differentiate from ERP?
Yeah. So the main difference from an ERP, this kind of the platform can be kind of called an ERP for operations, right? Because see, if you look at any large company, when it comes to finance, HR, or any of the functions, they are all perfectly sorted, right? They all have systems in place. But believe it or not, some of the largest companies in the world run their operations on pen and paper. Because again, operations is so different across the board, right? So we would like to, our aspiration is to be the enterprise operating system for safe, efficient, and compliant operations. So yes, you are right. Safety is only one part of it, but there is also productivity or efficiency, and there is compliance, right? Which becomes very, very important, and which are huge gains for any organization that implements the Syook system. Yeah, this question was from Devashish. Thank you, Devashish.
Hi, this is Ambli here. I have one question.
Yes.
Regarding the product life cycle, the product management.
Mm-hmm.
What are the key challenges or the highlights of your product development life cycle?
Once the deployment starts, the key challenge would probably be the day-to-day utilization of the system, right? In terms of assigning cards to all the new people that come in, assigning cards to the or taking back the tags from the people who are leaving, and so on, right? That's an operational challenge that is solved by having dedicated manpower on the ground to ensure that things work as planned, right? So that is probably one of the challenges that you have here, which you don't have in a software only kind of a setup.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone else has any further query or we may want to reach out to, I've given my email ID as well. And Arjun, if you may want to also give your contact
Sure. I'll
that
just,
people can text.
I hope everyone has access to the chat. My mail ID is arjun@syook.com. I would look forward to hearing from you all.
Yeah, I mean, hi everybody. So this is Devashish once more. So
Hi.
Arjun, I just have a query, and if you see, my earlier query was regarding this ERP. I mean, how is it different? I mean, the primary reason why I would like to ask that query would be that it's from a commercial and financial point of view. Now, if I have an ERP, I have already most of the things taken care of. But this is a very specific suit, I think, that we are discussing here. Now, the primary thing that I'm looking at is how companies are going to spend resources and spend money for this and what advantages they have. Now, what I'm looking at is there a way, or do you have a thought about the thing that in future your suit can be integrated to an existing application? Because I'm all looking at cost, man. Ultimately, it comes down to how much I'm willing to spend for something. You weigh the pros and cons of having something versus the benefits that I'm going to incur or have have in excuse me have in the future. So do you think there is a probability that this can be integrated to any existing suite of applications that is commonly being used by corporations, or you still think that you are going to be a standalone and something completely different? Because in that case, if somebody needs to, if I have to recommend this suit to my boss, then the thing is, okay, hey, I need to have something different on our company, uh, another application maybe, or I can also suggest it, okay, there is a probability of integrating this into our existing thing. But what's the future like? I mean, do you have plans of that sort? And how do you think it's going to be?
Sure. In fact, you asked a great question, Devashish. So 90% of all our projects are integrated into the customer ERP. Because see, cost is one thing. End of the day, the team in the customer organization asks, yeah, how many screens or how many systems can I look at? I want everything in one place. You don't give me information in like, Acha, for this you go here, for this you go here, for this you go here. Doesn't really work, right? So we integrate into all the commonly available ERPs, right? And data is also available to be consumed on customer dashboards, right? We have very very deep integrations with Microsoft Azure, right? They are our preferred platform for cloud. Uh, so yes, absolutely, you're right that customers will the end customer will want to look at one screen and say, "Yaar, isme mere ko sab kuch chahiye. I want everything here." Right. So that is something that we provide, and it's very configurable, right? Our APIs and integrations take very very less time to implement.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Arjun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Right. And look forward to staying in touch with you all.
Thanks, everyone. I think, there's the email ID info@syook.com, or even Arjun's direct email ID, as well as my email ID given in the chat, uday@incubatehub.com, and arjun@syook.com. So kindly, if you have any further queries or interests, do reach out and we would be happy to connect. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you all. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Arjun, Venki.
Thank you. Thank you, Jai.